What was your reaction hearing that ABC report?
Well, I was sitting there listening to the radio, I listened to the report, and I thought these people are off with the fairies. I thought they went to a different universe, a different dimension from what was happening at that meeting. I just find this, it's disgraceful reporting, quite frankly. They didn't talk to anyone else. They just spoke to a small handful of people, and they made out as sort of like some Ku Klux Klan meeting going on inside, which could be no further from the truth. These were decent Australian citizens, black and white, who were there to resolve a whole lot of issues that are happening in that community. It was as if these issues are, oh no, nothing to see here. It's like that famous, shot of, the police story thing, with the bloke standing in front of the burning building saying, don't worry, nothing to see here. And this is, I just can't, I'm just shocked by that reporting.
Well, it was shocking because, you would think, Warren, that if there were white supremacist views voice, they would have managed to capture that on their microphones, but they didn't. Now, Chris Barrett, I want to turn over to you here because there's new detail came out this morning on The Voice with Indigenous leaders saying they want 6 months to establish an advisory body after the referendum passes. Now, can you tell me what are the implications for that legally and constitutionally? Because a lot of people I'm hearing are saying that if you did that, you'd wind up with a whole nother set of legal problems.
Look, the problem that strikes me is there's just not enough information. We don't know what this thing's going to look like. We don't know the implications of the constitutional provision, let alone the statute that would establish this thing. And then if we're going to delay it for another 6 months, I don't know how people can make an informed decision on this thing. There needs to be more information made available by the government right now. At the very least, some analysis of the constitutional provision. If they don't want to release the details of the statute, that's a matter for them. That undermines their argument that they've got a fully informed community able to make a decision. But we can't vote on the constitutional provision unless we hear something from the Solicitor General, for example, on what the constitutional implications are that the High Court could read into this thing.
And I mean, as Anthony Albanese admitted in that interview with Ben Fordham a couple of weeks ago, they apparently did not get that advice from the Solicitor General. But Warren, what do you make of this idea that the thing could be delayed? Because if you think about it, let's say they go to the referendum in August, September this year. Then there's months and months of delay, potentially a year. They could go to an early election in late 2024. The thing could barely be up and running for people to have a say on it at the next federal election.
Look, the whole thing is just laughable. We saw Ben Albanese being interviewed by Ben Fordham on 2GB. He couldn't even tell you whether it's elected or it's appointed. He couldn't tell you if they get paid or they don't get paid. He couldn't tell you anything. It was a total train wreck. And then he gets forced to go all the way up to Alice Springs to spend 5 hours there. Then he buggers off down into the tennis. Marion Scrimgeour, the Minister Linda Burney, and the Prime Minister all said if we would have had a voice, then all the problems in Alice Springs wouldn't be happening. Prove it.
Indeed. And now, Warren, I want to stick with you on this topic while we just are on The Voice for a minute, because you're part of the No campaign on this. Peter Dutton is now going to be part of the discussions, or he says he's going to be part of these discussions. What do you think that he should bring to the table when he goes and has these meetings with the committee that's designing this thing?
Well, if they don't, he's already put 15 questions for them. If they haven't answered those 15 questions, don't waste your time. That's my advice to Peter Dutton, because all they're trying to do is, like I wrote about it in the Australian. This is like the Dubbo City Council thing. If you've got a person who doesn't like the library or the art gallery, you make them chair, and then they have to defend. And I'll be quite honest. That's what I think's happened with Chris Kenny. He's been there since day one. I cannot. I've been across this country many times over the last few weeks, and I cannot see how this voice is going to do anything except make a small group of people very rich and build a huge bureaucracy which will send us back another 50 years.